Hello, my name is Chioma Okwara. Welcome to Art and Leisure. Last year, being Nigeria's centenary, meant a lot to the citizenry. There were discussions on how the nation had fared and what to do to bring about changes in different sectors. 39 writers from different parts of Africa and other stakeholders in the literary world converged on Port Harcourt to deliberate on serious issues. What you're about to watch is Port Harcourt Book Festival. Stick around. The event started with an opening ceremony where Bishop Matthew Hassan Kuka, the Bishop of the Roman Catholic Diocese of Sokoto, gave a keynote address. He spoke on the topic, Possibilities for Nigeria at 100, Youths as Underdogs and Misfits. He encouraged young people to engage in community service.
The sense of community, which is increasingly vanishing, because many of us are Port Harcourt boys, we are Lagos boys, we are Ibadan boys. It's only when you now want to contest for election that they will tell you, you don't belong to Ibadan, you don't belong to Port Harcourt, you don't belong to Lagos. Then you now start going back to an imaginary village where nobody knows. So the point I'm making is that for those of us that seek a role in the future, I always say to my nephews and nieces, it will be wonderful if instead of gallivanting all over the place, you went home to just help young people in the village pass their way. Because from these people you are helping, one of them may actually be a governor or a senator tomorrow. So a sense of volunteering is increasingly missing because many parents are telling their children, don't talk to strangers, don't greet strangers, because we are all afraid of one another. The sixth point is what I call youth, anger, and change. I feel a bit sad that a sense of anger is no longer, I talk of anger here, literally a sense of righteous indignation.
He also had a word for those in government.
It's not about sinking boreholes, they are all night. It's not about building roads. It's not about this is not what government is all about. If we wanted good roads, we would have stayed with the military. Because after all, everybody goes to South Africa and is making noise. All the beauty of South Africa was not built in a democracy. It was built under apartheid, under the sweat, under the torture of black people. The technology in Germany that survived its life in the foundation was led by Hitler. So governors, all these governors, I respect them, but don't be banking all these things you say dividends of democracy. That's not what it's all about. The business of government is to expand the frontiers of human imagination so that people can do the things that God has endowed them.
Port Harcourt Book Festival has been on for 7 years and the state government has been supportive. The University of Port Harcourt is also a partner.
The organizers of this book festival have kept faith with their vision and passion over the years with the visible support of Rivers State Government under the leadership of His Excellency, Right Honorable Chibuike Rotimi Amechi. I'm confident that this year's edition will live up to the expectations of the participants and also build on the success story of past editions. The University of Port Harcourt will continue to partner the organizers of this festival to achieve the desired objectives for which it was established.
This is a Nigerian event for the world.
The 2014 edition of the annual Port Harcourt Book Festival is in many ways a special one. In addition to being a remarkable consolidation of the event in Nigeria's cultural calendar, this year's event is taking place in the context of the UNESCO World Book City status of the city of Port Harcourt. To that extent, the challenge of this year's book festival is that of showcasing the qualities that qualified the city of Port Harcourt for this global recognition and acclaim.
39 writers from different countries in Africa who will still be relevant in the next 20 years have their works published in this anthology.
You'll find in the anthology a wide range of styles and a wide range of concerns. It's an anthology of 39 writers who are considered to be the best writers from Africa south of the Sahara. And I'll tell you how it was put together. The Hay Festivals are an international series of literary festivals started in England. And they decided that This was a time when African writing was making its mark on the world. We've all known for a long time that we are good storytellers, and we've known this. But it seems to be a moment in time when the rest of the world is really acknowledging and celebrating the writing coming from the continent. And so Binyavanga Wainaina, the Kenyan writer, was asked to do a period of research and find out who the writers under 40 were who were making a mark. Who were the writers who would be reading and celebrating in 20 years' time? And so with the team of judges, Margaret Busby of Ghana, Elechi Amadi, who's a guest here today, and Osuna Tess, or forgive my pronunciation, Onueme, were invited to choose 39 of these writers. And as you heard earlier on, 22 of them are here celebrating with us.
Stanley Kenani from Malawi spoke on behalf of the 39 writers.
We are not the best 39 African writers under the age of 40. We are just some of those who are trying hard to contribute to the African canon of literature, if ever there was one. There are obviously others within our age group who are in many ways far much better, probably, than those of us who are here. But they did not make this list of Africa 39. They are also doing their best, just like we are also trying our best. Regardless, these 39 that we see here are very outstanding writers who have spent decades building their CVs to try and make a difference to African literature.
After this opening ceremony, more activities were lined up for the 5-day event. Welcome back. I've been at different fora where Bishop Matthew Kuka spoke. His speeches are always incisive, blunt, and spiced with humor. You just can't get bored. All right, now let's listen to discussions by gurus who have seen it all. Stay. The 7th edition of the Port Harcourt Book Festival was centered around youths. This panel was made up of discussants who are either young or working with young people.
I go to campuses, I've been going to campuses since 1992, speaking to young people. And this year we had a major youth push. We call it B3 Summit. It means beauty, bronze, and brains. What we're saying is be beautiful, but have a brain that functions. I come from the northern part of Nigeria, and women are not considered people, they're considered property. They don't only shut down the voice of the woman in the north, they shroud her so that you forget her after you meet her. If a woman is covered up, you don't remember what she looks like. So, unless she makes a particularly strong impression on you, you forget. So I have to look at myself coming from there and say, no, I refuse to be shrouded like this. I refuse for anyone to shut me down. I have a brain that works, and I began to push. Well, in our involvement with young people right now, we had to start helping recover the minds that have been lost to addictions, drugs, anger, sex, whatever. And we started a rehab center because we looked around the nation and there was none. What we have are psychiatric clinics, but people with addictions are not crazy, they are sick. So we looked around the nation and we couldn't find a rehab center. And the young people that were coming to us, we couldn't help them all the way. So we decided, one of the ways we can reclaim the youth of our nation is to set up a rehab center.
Being young is a stage in one's life which must be well managed.
Being young is such an important time in anybody's history. You have energy, you have ideas, you can take risks, and you have time.
Young entrepreneurs shared their life experiences.
If you grew up in Port Harcourt, you probably would have heard 2 songs. Every Sunday, when they sell Tombo. And the moment I walk into the class, that song starts and I'll start crying. And then when they stop, the next thing you hear, the moment you say anything, the next thing you hear is Ogoni Pio Pio. And those 2 things tormented me as a child. I felt there was something wrong. And I couldn't go to my parents to even ask what is wrong with being a child from Ogoni. As a teenager, trying to get admission into school, I discovered that there was also another problem. Every time you step your feet out of Port Harcourt, it's either you're a militant, or you are lazy, or you don't, there are just a lot of things. And I felt, at first it was being an Ogoni boy, now it's a bigger problem being from River State. So all of those things became a problem for me. I started searching for answers, getting involved in all manner of things, working in civil society organizations, NGOs, trying to find answers, which till today I never got the answers. All I got was more questions. I and my team, we started the Touch Port Harcourt project. Basically what we wanted to do was see how we could utilize social technology to talk about Port Harcourt positively to the world, inspire the city to evolve from the point where it is to a new level of thinking, which I believe to an extent we can say we've done a whole lot.
There's a time to cry about what government is not doing right, and there's a time to ask yourself, so what gaps can you fill? Because obviously government cannot fill every gap. We have Nigeria, for instance. In Abuja, there are students that get kicked out of school because of 1,500 naira. I didn't say dollars. 1,500 naira. I don't think anybody is wearing anything that is less than 1,500 naira. So what did we do? We found a way to get access to the schools. We found a way not just to keep these children in school with 1,500 naira. We also found a way to get professionals, because they didn't even have teachers, let alone bad teachers. So we found a way to get professionals to go into the schools, to fill those gaps. So when I come out tomorrow and say, this government are useless, I'm not doing anything, I have at the back of my mind that yes, I can say it. Not only do I pay taxes, I'm also filling gaps for them. So if we forget everything, never forget the fact that we are in a new world, nothing is as it used to be. And if you have a dream, then you have the tools, the modern tools of today to make you fulfill that dream. And more than anything else, you need time. If you don't keep to time, you're a mess. If they say speak on Nigeria, how to solve Nigeria's problems of 30 minutes, and then you take 2 hours, you're already at the beginning of that Nigerian problem.
I call on all of us here today to join hands with the government and become change agents in a little way, right from our family, before we begin to talk about our offices and our business area. As we do that, with God on our side, we'll go further to improve this country and state.
Shegu Adeniyi, the Special Assistant on Communication to former President, late Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, stated what the government owes the citizenry.
The essence of government actually is to fire the imagination of the people, but we don't see that often. And in instances where we see it, people get to know what government is all about. When we talk about Ebola, it's not about, we didn't throw money at Ebola. It's just that people were alive to their responsibilities, which is essentially what government is all about. When we talk about what has actually changed Nigeria today, we talk about GSM. GSM was not about awarding contract. It is about realizing that, look, we can expand this frontier. And how do we do it? Bring in operators who can manage.
Being young today qualifies you to be an elder in the near future. These discussions are encouraging young people to use their energy, intelligence, creativity, and dexterity for the benefit of the country. Another set of discussions laid emphasis on mother tongue usage in schools.
There are some things that are best expressed in your first language, which some people are calling the mother tongue. And some of those things, when you try to, if you insist on using your mother tongue, and then you try to sell it to a second person who doesn't understand, they won't understand you naturally. And so you are forced to use translation. But then the problem with translation is you lose certain aspects of what you are trying to say.
If you look at the English language now, the vocabulary is one of the biggest in the world. And only 5% of that vocabulary survives from the original English. So if you try to preserve the original English, most of us would not. All they did was that they went to other countries. When they came to the other countries, they just appropriated different bits of languages. I was just having a debate with somebody. Someone at the end said that the native languages of the native Indians in America has been lost. I said, that's not true. The word Manhattan, Miami, Colorado, all these words are words from native Indian languages. Now, what does that mean? It means that they belong there. That tells you that they belong there. English has just appropriated all these things in order to perpetuate itself and survive. So all our own languages must do the same thing. We must have a sense of, okay, this is who we are, this is our base language, but we are going to incorporate different things into the language. If I'm an Ogoni man, we don't have a word really for aeroplane, because that was, you know, back in 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago when we codified our languages, if we ever did, aeroplanes were not part of our experience. But what we did is that we now call it Fabouillon, which is the car of above. So, you know, the language then, you know, you develop the vocabulary as the cultures change.
Some students listened and also gained from the discussions.
I've learned that language is an identity of who you really are and differentiates you from where you are. It makes someone spectacular in his own way in the world.
Every language is dynamic, and if any language dies, it dies with an element, a very important and vital element. And also that we, the youth, with this Port Harcourt World Book Festival, we should try our best to preserve the languages that are still around, and the ones that have already gone, we should try our best to still try and bring them back.
I can speak my local language, which is Igbo language. And I can also read and write it.
Workshops were also organized for upcoming writers. Nice to have you back. Africans talking about issues that affect us. The 7th edition of the Port Harcourt Book Festival was centered around young people. You know, being young means that your imaginations are limitless. Energy and speed also work in your favor. So it wasn't a surprise that the organizers of the festival put together a workshop for select students of the University of Port Harcourt. Let's see how it went. The undergraduates and the lecturers of the English Studies Department, they came to listen to these 39 writers who have their works in this anthology. One after the other, they introduced themselves and talked about their inspirations.
I read a lot of books, a lot of novels, and there was a point when I felt like, well, I think I can write. I mean, looking at some of the books and the stories that I read, I had that feeling like, you know, if he can write like this, I think I can write.
I started writing 3 years ago. That was 2011. Before now, I work in the bank. I'm a mother. I studied computer science. I never even thought in my life that I'm going to be a writer until a friend read my work and then introduced me to African writers. And then I realized that this is what I have passion for.
Mostly reading a lot and writing. That's it. There's nothing mysterious about getting here. You just need to read and write a lot.
Read a lot, write a lot, and live a lot. Those 3 things.
They are the new crop of African writers who the world will focus on for a very long time.
More often than not, students think that these authors are, as one of the writers said, aliens, strangers. But they are people like us. They are our brothers, they are our sisters. So this is a very good opportunity to meet writers one-on-one.
The students were allowed to ask questions. It is expected that this interactive session will inspire these young people a great deal.
We encourage our students to have this kind of forum regularly. Every Wednesday, they have what they call a NASEL forum. At such fora, they invite well-known writers or poets. Lichi Amadi has been there a couple of times. Gabriel Kara has been here. So we do this fairly regularly, almost on a weekly basis. But this is a larger one and on a national scale. It's not just English department.
Many of them are aspiring to be great writers.
I'm most impressed because they've been able to evoke the mind of writing spirit in me. And for that, I have decided to take an action concerning writing.
What I'm actually taking away from the meeting is that anybody can write. It's not like it's a gift that it's upon a person. You can actually write when you decide to write.
This is the right time for me to take that bold step
to go into the world of writing. And I strongly believe that the world will hear about me.
The English Studies Department of the University of Port Harcourt has churned out graduates who are making giant strides.
I'm sure you've heard of Timi Silva, and of course, nobody in Nigeria would not have heard of Amici, the governor.
The lecturers are not resting on their oars.
One of the benefits of studying literature is that it makes us to know what our responsibility is. Responsibility to ourselves, responsibility to society.
Port Harcourt Book Festival is an annual event where writers and readers converge on the Garden City for discussions, workshops, book fair, meet the author session, just to mention a few. The theme for the 7th edition was Possibilities for Nigeria at 100.
We are standing on the hinge of 2 centuries in terms of national life, our existence, just rounding off 100 years. Therefore, you can say another 100 years is just ahead of us. And we have an opportunity to look behind, reflect on our past and our history, and then think and plan for the future, for the next 100 years, so that we can build the Nigeria of our dreams, the Nigeria that we want our children and grandchildren to inherit. And so when you're looking in the future, you're looking at the younger generation. That's where the youth fit in. So we think the youth are important in this conversation, and so we want to hear them out, and we want to also speak to them, not sort of speak at them.
It's been a week-long event of discussions and workshops. After all these, what's next?
A lot. Personally, I would say to you, if you embark on any sort of endeavor to try and join your voice, your strength, your talent, whatever you come with to change society, it can be very difficult and there can be very discouraging times. But like when I heard Reverend Kuka, he said many wonderful things. But one of the greatest things was like, instead of pointing fingers at others and accusing and grumbling, why don't you, like a David, pick up a stone and do something? The nation belongs to us, and each of us can do something to change our society for good.
Port Harcourt is the current holder of the title World Book Capital. It took over from Bangkok in April 2014.
We have 200 book clubs running in 100 schools in Port Harcourt, primary and secondary schools. At the primary level, they read a book a week, and they get together in a book club to discuss very carefully chosen books that communicate good values, character, integrity. So these are the ways we are working to change our society using the book as a point of contact. At the secondary school level, they're reading a book a month, and they meet to discuss it. And in the general adult section of society, we're also reaching out to that group. And monthly, we have a book of the month. We also have discussions around the book of the month on radio, the internet, and a meeting here. We have dramas on those books. We've had the walking book program, which has involved students in the 36 states and in the Federal Capital Territory writing a communal story on the sights and sounds of the states. That book is titled 100 Years Around Nigeria. We had a similar program in Port Harcourt, where we worked with children from the 23 local government areas to produce a book titled 100 Years Around Port Harcourt. So these are just a few of the things we are doing for the World Book Capital. Something that is also very interesting is a book donation drive, where we call out to the public, people in the city, to donate good books. We get those books together and we plant what we call a seed library in a community that does not have access to books. So we have equipped a home for street children, orphanages, we're going into prisons, and also these are just some of the things we've been doing.
Port Harcourt, being UNESCO World Book Capital City 2014, is no mean feat. This global recognition and acclaim is good for the country. Welcome back. Well done to the organizers of the Port Harcourt Book Festival. It was nice to see my lecturers again. Yes, I finished from the University of Port Harcourt English Studies Department. Things are really looking up for the department. Thank you so much for being a part of the show today. You can always watch this episode and other episodes at your convenience. Just visit www.artandleisure.com.ng. Please leave comments afterwards. By God's grace, there'll be a fresh edition same time next week. My name is Chioma Okpara. Love yourself. Love Nigeria.